Maya had always believed her parents wanted the best for her. At 22, she was finishing her final year of college, dreaming of becoming a teacher and maybe traveling the world before settling down. Her small apartment near campus was filled with textbooks, art supplies, and photos of friends. Life felt full of possibilities. The first sign something was different came on a Thursday evening when her mother called 3 times in 1 hour. Maya was studying for her education finals. When her phone buzzed again, "Maya, Beta, you need to come home this weekend. It's important," her mother said, her voice carrying an unusual tension. "Is everything okay, Mama? Is Papa sick?" Maya asked, closing her textbook. Her parents rarely insisted she come home during exam season. "Everyone is fine. Just come home. We have something wonderful to discuss with you," her mother replied, but Maya could hear whispered conversations in the background. That weekend, Maya drove the 3 hours back to her childhood home in the suburbs. The house looked the same. The small garden her mother tended, the blue shutters her father had painted last summer, the familiar smell of cardamom tea that always greeted her at the door. But something felt different. Her parents seemed nervous, exchanging glances when they thought she wasn't looking. During dinner, her father cleared his throat several times before speaking. "Maya, you know we love you very much," he began, his hands fidgeting with his napkin. "We have always wanted you to be happy and secure." Maya nodded, wondering where this conversation was headed. Her parents had always been supportive, working extra shifts at their respective jobs to pay for her education. "There is a very good family we have met," her mother continued, serving Maya more rice even though her plate was still full. "They have a son, a very successful man. He owns several businesses and comes from a respected family." Maya's stomach tightened. She had heard similar conversations from friends whose parents had arranged meetings with potential husbands. "Mama, I'm still in school. I want to finish my degree first, maybe work for a few years before thinking about marriage." Her parents exchanged another look. "Beta, opportunities like this don't come often," her father said gently. "This man, Arjun, he is 38 years old, very established. He has agreed to meet you next weekend." 38? Maya's voice rose. "Papa, that's 16 years older than me. I don't even know him." "Age is just a number when there is compatibility," her mother said quickly. "His family is very modern. They want you to continue your studies after marriage. Arjun has even said he would support your career dreams." Maya felt the room spinning slightly. This wasn't just a casual meeting her parents were suggesting. The way they spoke, the careful words they chose, made it sound like decisions had already been made. "Have you already talked to his family about this?" Her father looked uncomfortable. "We may have had some preliminary discussions, but nothing is final until you meet and approve." The word approve hung in the air. Maya realized her parents weren't asking for her opinion about whether to explore this possibility. They were asking her to approve of something they had already set in motion. That night, Maya lay in her childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling where she had once stuck glow-in-the-dark stars. She thought about her friend Sarah, who was planning to backpack through Europe after graduation, about her classmate Jennifer, who had just gotten an internship at a publishing company in New York, about all the dreams she had written in the journal hidden under her mattress. The next morning, her mother showed her photos on her phone. "This is Arjun," she said, swiping through pictures that looked professionally taken. The man was handsome in a formal way, wearing expensive suits in most photos. There were pictures of him at what looked like business events, standing next to luxury cars and in front of a large house. "He lives in the city, about an hour from here," her mother explained. "He has never been married, which is rare for a man his age. His family says he was waiting for the right girl." Maya studied the photos. Arjun looked like he belonged in a different world, one of business meetings and fancy restaurants, not college dormitories and late-night study sessions. What does he think about marrying someone so much younger? His mother says he prefers younger women because they are more adaptable, her father replied, not seeming to notice how his words made Maya flinch. The weekend passed in a blur of relatives calling to congratulate Maya on the wonderful match her parents had found. Apparently, word had already spread through their extended family. Maya's aunt called from India, gushing about how lucky Maya was to find such a successful husband. "But I haven't even met him yet," Maya protested to her cousin Priya during one of these calls. "Are you crazy?" Priya laughed. "Do you know how hard it is to find an unmarried man his age who is willing to take a wife? Your parents have done something amazing for you." As Maya drove back to college on Sunday evening, her mind was churning. Her parents had been more insistent than she had ever seen them. The meeting with Arjun was scheduled for the following Saturday, and they had already told his family she would be there. Back in her apartment, Maya looked around at her simple life, her second-hand furniture, her collection of books, her drawings taped to the walls. Everything felt suddenly temporary, as if she was seeing it all for the last time. She called her best friend Rachel, who was studying in another state. "They can't force you to marry anyone," Rachel said firmly after hearing the whole story. "This is 2024, not 1950. But Maya wasn't sure it was that simple. Her parents had sacrificed so much for her education, working double shifts and saving every penny. How could she disappoint them now? Yet the thought of marrying a stranger, especially one so much older, made her feel trapped. As she prepared for bed that night, Maya realized her life was about to change in ways she had never imagined. The question was whether she would have any say in how those changes unfolded. The week passed like a strange dream for Maya. She attended classes, took notes, and participated in discussions. But her mind kept drifting to Saturday's meeting. Her professors noticed her distraction. "Maya, are you feeling all right?" asked Dr. Peterson after she completely missed a question about lesson planning techniques. Maya forced a smile. "Just tired from studying," she lied, though she hadn't been able to concentrate on her books all week. On Wednesday, her mother called with updates. "Arjun's family has invited us for lunch at their house on Saturday. His mother wants to prepare traditional dishes for you. She's very excited to meet you." "What if I don't like him, Mama?" Maya asked, sitting in her car after class. There was a pause. "Beta, you will like him. He is a good man from a good family. These things work out when families are compatible." But Maya wasn't asking about families. She was asking about her own feelings, her own choice. The distinction seemed lost on her mother. Thursday brought more calls from relatives. Her grandmother called from the village, speaking in their native language about how proud she was that Maya would marry into such a wealthy family. "Finally, you will have security," her grandmother said. "Education is good, but a husband who can provide is better." Maya wanted to argue, to say that she could provide for herself, but the words stuck in her throat. Her grandmother had lived through times when women had few choices. How could Maya explain that she wanted something different? On Friday evening, Maya's roommate Emma found her staring at her closet. "What's wrong? You look like you're going to a funeral instead of a family lunch." Maya hadn't told Emma the whole truth about Saturday's plans. She had only mentioned visiting her parents. Now, the weight of keeping this secret felt unbearable. "Emma, what would you do if your parents wanted you to marry someone you'd never met?" Emma laughed, thinking Maya was joking. "I'd tell them to mind their own business." "Why?" Maya sat on her bed, feeling the gap between her two worlds growing wider. Her college friends lived in a world where such questions were absurd. But for Maya, caught between her family's expectations and her own dreams, nothing felt simple anymore. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly. Maya put on the blue dress her mother had specifically requested, modest, feminine, and suitable, for meeting future in-laws. She stared at her reflection, hardly recognizing the nervous young woman looking back at her. The drive to Arjun's family home took Maya and her parents through increasingly upscale neighborhoods. When they finally stopped, Maya's breath caught. The house was enormous, a modern mansion with perfectly manicured gardens and a circular driveway where 2 luxury cars were parked. "Remember to be polite and let them do most of the talking," her mother whispered as they walked to the front door. Arjun's mother, Mrs. Sharma, opened the door before they could ring the bell. She was elegantly dressed in a silk sari with gold jewelry that caught the light. "Welcome, welcome," she said warmly, embracing Maya's mother like an old friend. The house inside was even more impressive than the outside. Everything seemed expensive and carefully chosen, from the marble floors to the crystal chandelier in the entryway. Maya felt very young and very out of place. "And this must be Maya," Mrs. Sharma said, turning her attention to her. "Even more beautiful than in the photos your mother shared. Arjun will be so pleased." Maya managed a polite smile, wondering when photos of her had been shared and what other arrangements had been made without her knowledge. They were led to a sitting room where Mr. Sharma was waiting, along with what appeared to be Arjun's sister and her husband. Everyone stood as Maya entered, and she felt like she was being presented for inspection. "Arjun is just finishing a business call," Mrs. Sharma explained. "He should be down shortly. Please, sit. Make yourselves comfortable." The next 20 minutes felt like the longest of Maya's life. The adults made polite conversation about the weather, the traffic, and mutual acquaintances. Maya was asked about her studies, but in a way that felt rehearsed, as if her answers had been predetermined. "Teaching is such a noble profession," Arjun's sister said, "though of course once you have children, you might find you prefer to focus on family." Maya's mother nodded enthusiastically. "Maya has always been good with children. She will make a wonderful mother." Maya felt like she was disappearing, becoming just a collection of qualities that made her suitable for marriage. No one asked about her dreams, her plans, or what she wanted from life. Then Arjun entered the room, and Maya's heart sank. He was exactly as handsome as his photos, but there was something in his manner that made her uncomfortable. He moved through the room like he owned it, which technically he did, and looked at Maya with the same appraising expression she had seen him use when examining his car earlier. "Maya," he said, extending his hand. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you." His handshake was firm, confident, and lasted a moment too long. Maya found herself studying his face, looking for some sign of the kind of man he was beyond his expensive suit and perfect smile. During lunch, Arjun dominated the conversation, talking about his businesses, his travels, and his plans for expanding his operations. Maya noticed he never asked her questions directly, instead addressing her parents when discussing topics that concerned her. "I believe in supporting my wife's interests," he said at one point, "as long as they don't interfere with family responsibilities." Maya's father nodded approvingly. "Maya is very responsible. She has always put family first." But Maya wondered what family responsibilities meant in Arjun's world and whether her own dreams would be considered interference. After lunch, Mrs. Sharma suggested that Maya and Arjun take a walk in the garden to get to know each other better. Maya's parents encouraged this with enthusiastic smiles, and Maya found herself alone with Arjun for the first time. "You're very quiet," Arjun observed as they walked along a stone path between perfectly trimmed hedges. "I'm just taking everything in," Maya replied carefully. "Good. I appreciate thoughtfulness in a woman. Too many girls your age are loud and demanding." Maya felt a chill despite the warm afternoon. Something in his tone suggested he had very specific ideas about how women should behave, and she wasn't sure she fit his expectations, or wanted to. Tell me about your teaching plans, he continued. My mother mentioned you want to work after marriage. The way he said it made it sound like an indulgence he might or might not allow. Maya chose her words carefully. I've always wanted to help children learn and grow. It's important to me. Arjun nodded. We'll see how things develop. Of course, once we have our own children, priorities change. Maya realized that in Arjun's mind, the marriage was already decided. He wasn't getting to know her to decide if he wanted to marry her. He was evaluating how well she would fit into the life he had already planned. The drive home from Arjun's house was filled with excited chatter from Maya's parents, but Maya herself remained silent, staring out the window at the passing landscape. Her mother kept turning around from the front seat to beam at her. Did you see how he looked at you, Beta? He was completely taken with you, her mother gushed. And his family is so warm and welcoming. His mother already treats you like a daughter. Maya's father nodded enthusiastically while navigating traffic. Arjun is exactly the kind of man we hoped you would find. Stable, successful, from a good family. You are very fortunate, Maya. What did you two talk about during your walk? Her mother asked eagerly. Maya searched for words that wouldn't disappoint her parents, but also wouldn't betray her growing unease. He told me about his business, she said finally. Wonderful. He's including you in his world already, her mother interpreted. That shows real respect. But Maya remembered the conversation differently. Arjun hadn't included her in anything. He had talked at her, not with her, describing his accomplishments like items on a resume. When she had mentioned her senior project about innovative teaching methods, he had nodded politely and changed the subject back to his real estate investments. That evening, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hello, Maya. This is Arjun. I enjoyed meeting you today. I hope we can speak soon about our future together. Maya stared at the message for a long time. Our future together. Not getting to know each other better? Or seeing where this leads? In Arjun's mind, apparently, their future was already decided. She showed the message to her parents, who were delighted. See how proper he is? He's already thinking about your future together, her mother said. You should respond right away. Don't keep him waiting. Maya typed and deleted several responses before settling on something neutral. Thank you for the lovely afternoon. Your family was very kind. Arjun's response came within minutes. My mother is already talking about engagement dates. She thinks a winter wedding would be beautiful. Maya's hands trembled as she read the message. Engagement dates? Winter wedding? She felt like she was watching her life being planned by other people while she stood on the sidelines. Over the next few days, the calls began. First, Arjun's mother called Maya's mother to discuss next steps. Then relatives started calling to ask about wedding preparations. Maya's aunt from California called to say she was already looking at flights for the engagement ceremony. What? Engagement ceremony? Maya asked her mother after yet another congratulatory call. Well, Beta, these things move quickly when families are compatible. Arjun's mother suggested we announce the engagement next month. That gives us time to plan properly. Maya felt like she was drowning. Mama, I need more time. I barely know him. Her mother sat down beside her on the couch, taking her hands. Maya, love grows with time and understanding. Your father and I didn't know each other well when we married, but look how happy we are now. Maya wanted to point out that her parents had at least chosen each other, that they had courted for months before their families arranged the marriage, but she could see the excitement in her mother's eyes, the pride in her voice when she talked about Maya's brilliant match. At college, Maya tried to focus on her final projects, but her friends began to notice her distraction. You've been weird all week, her roommate Emma observed. Are you sure everything's okay at home? Maya finally told Emma the truth about Arjun and the proposed marriage. Emma's reaction was exactly what Maya had expected: shock, disbelief, and anger. Maya, you can't be serious. You're talking about marrying a complete stranger who's almost twice your age. This is insane. It's not that simple, Maya tried to explain. My parents have invested everything in my future. They think this is what's best for me. What's best for you is finishing your degree and deciding your own life, Emma said firmly. You're 22 years old, not 12. You don't need anyone's permission to live your life. But Emma didn't understand the weight of family expectations, the complexity of disappointing parents who had sacrificed so much. Maya envied her friend's certainty, her ability to see the situation in simple terms of right and wrong. That weekend, Arjun called Maya directly for the first time. I thought we should talk more, get to know each other better before the engagement, he said, though his tone suggested this was more of a formality than a genuine getting-to-know-you conversation. Alvida talked for an hour, but Maya felt more disconnected from him afterward than before. Arjun spoke about his expectations for marriage. He wanted a wife who would host dinner parties for his business associates, who would manage his household efficiently, who would give him children soon after the wedding. I believe in traditional family values, he explained. The man provides, the woman nurtures. It's a system that has worked for centuries. Maya tried to share her own hopes and dreams, but Arjun seemed to only half listen. When she mentioned wanting to implement new teaching techniques she was learning in her education program, he said, "That's nice, dear. We'll see how much time you have for that once you're properly settled." After the call ended, Maya sat in her apartment feeling more alone than ever. She looked around at her simple life, her textbooks, her student artwork on the walls, her photos with college friends, and wondered if this was all temporary. Would she have to give up everything that made her feel like herself? The next day, her mother called with more news. Mrs. Sharma has suggested we meet with the family priest to choose an auspicious date for the engagement. She's also started looking at wedding venues. She wants to book something elegant, something that reflects both families' status. Status? Maya repeated. Well, beta, Arjun's family is quite prominent. The wedding will be a big social event. Mrs. Sharma has already said she expects at least 500 guests. Maya had always imagined a small, intimate wedding with close friends and family. The idea of 500 strangers celebrating a marriage she wasn't sure she wanted felt overwhelming. That afternoon, Maya walked across campus to her advisor's office. Professor Davis had been her mentor throughout her education program, and Maya trusted her perspective. "Maya, you look troubled," Professor Davis observed as Maya sat down across from her desk. "I need some advice about a personal situation," Maya began carefully. She explained about Arjun and the pressure she was feeling from her family. Professor Davis listened without interruption, her expression growing more concerned as Maya continued. When Maya finished, there was a long pause. "Maya, I've watched you grow as a student and as a person over these past 4 years," Professor Davis said finally. "You have incredible potential as an educator and as a human being. The question you need to ask yourself is, what kind of life will allow you to become the person you're meant to be? But what about my parents? They've done so much for me. How can I disappoint them? Sometimes the greatest gift we can give our parents is becoming happy, fulfilled adults, even if that doesn't match their initial plans for us," Professor Davis replied gently. "Your parents love you. If you're truly unhappy, don't you think they would want to know?" That evening, Maya called her best friend Rachel, who was doing her student teaching in another state. Rachel listened to the whole story with growing alarm. "Maya, you're describing an arranged business transaction, not a marriage," Rachel said bluntly. "This man doesn't seem interested in who you are as a person. He's looking for someone to fit into his pre-planned life." "Maybe that's how it works," Maya said weakly. "Maybe love develops over time. But what if it doesn't? What if you spend the rest of your life feeling like a stranger in your own marriage?" Maya's sleep became restless, filled with dreams of wedding ceremonies where she stood at the altar unable to speak, of teaching classrooms that faded away as she reached for them, of running through endless hallways looking for an exit that never appeared. She woke each morning feeling more exhausted than when she had gone to bed. At college, her professors began to express concern about her declining performance. Her senior project, which had been progressing well, stalled as she found herself unable to concentrate on designing innovative lesson plans when her own future felt so uncertain. The engagement preparations continued to accelerate around her. Mrs. Sharma called Maya's mother daily with updates. The priest had chosen an auspicious date, just 3 weeks away. The venue was booked. Invitation designs were being reviewed. Maya felt like she was watching an elaborate machine operate around her, with herself as a passive component rather than an active participant. Arjun began calling her every few days, conversations that felt more like briefings than intimate exchanges. He would update her on his business dealings, ask perfunctory questions about her studies, and make references to "after we're married" as if it were an already accomplished fact. During one of these calls, Maya tried to express some of her concerns. "Arjun, I feel like we're moving very quickly. Maybe we could spend more time just talking, getting to know each other as people." "Maya, there will be plenty of time for that after we're engaged," he replied smoothly. "Right now, it's important to focus on the practical arrangements. My mother has some questions about your preferences for the engagement ceremony." Maya realized that her preferences were only relevant when they concerned ceremonial details, not fundamental questions about their relationship or future together. She was being consulted about flower arrangements and menu choices, but not about whether she actually wanted to marry him. One evening, while supposedly studying at the library, Maya found herself researching arranged marriages online. She read stories of women who had found happiness in marriages arranged by their families, but also accounts from those who had felt trapped and lost in relationships they never truly chose. One blog post particularly struck her. A woman wrote, "I spent so many years trying to become the wife I thought my husband wanted that I forgot who I was as a person. By the time I remembered, it felt too late to change course." Maya closed her laptop, feeling a chill of recognition. Was that her future? Would she spend years trying to become the perfect wife for Arjun, slowly erasing the parts of herself that didn't fit his expectations? The next day, Maya made an impulsive decision. Instead of going to class, she drove home to talk to her parents. She found them in the kitchen, her mother preparing dinner while her father read the newspaper. "Maya, what a surprise," her mother said, immediately fussing over her. "You look thin. Are you eating enough at school?" Maya sat down at the familiar kitchen table where she had done homework as a child, where her family had shared thousands of meals together. "Mama, Papa, I need to talk to you about Arjun." Her parents exchanged glances. "Is everything all right, Beta?" her father asked, setting down his newspaper. Maya took a deep breath. "I don't think I want to marry him." The silence that followed was deafening. Her mother stopped stirring the pot on the stove and turned around slowly. "What do you mean you don't want to marry him?" her mother asked, her voice tight with confusion and worry. "I mean, I don't feel any connection to him. When we talk, it's like we're speaking different languages. He doesn't seem interested in who I am as a person, only in whether I'll fit into his idea of what a wife should be." Her father leaned forward in his chair. "Maya, marriage is not just about feelings. It's about compatibility, family values, security. These things matter more than romantic feelings that come and go." "But shouldn't I at least like him? Shouldn't I feel comfortable with him?" Maya asked. Her mother sat down across from her, reaching for her hands. "Beta, you are nervous. This is natural before such a big step. But Arjun is a good man from a good family. He will take care of you. What more could you want?" Maya struggled to put her feelings into words that her parents would understand. I want to feel like he sees me as an equal partner, not just as someone to manage his household and raise his children. I want to finish my degree and start my teaching career. I want to have some say in the major decisions that affect my life. You can finish your degree after marriage, her father said reasonably. Arjun has said he supports your education. But what if he changes his mind after we're married? What if his idea of support and mine are different? Her parents looked at each other with the kind of wordless communication that comes from decades of marriage. Maya could see they were struggling to understand her perspective. Maya, her mother said gently, we have met many potential husbands for you over the past year. You found fault with all of them. First, you said they were too traditional. Then, you said they were not serious enough. Now, you have found a man who is successful, handsome, from a good family, and still you are not satisfied. What exactly are you looking for? Maya realized that her parents didn't understand that she hadn't been looking for a husband at all. While they had been evaluating potential matches, she had been focused on her studies, her future career, her own dreams and ambitions. The disconnect between their priorities and hers had never been more clear. I'm looking for someone who wants to know me, who values my thoughts and opinions, who sees marriage as a partnership between equals, Maya said. Her father shook his head. These are Western ideas, Maya. You have been influenced by your college, friends who come from different backgrounds. In our culture, marriage is about family, duty, and mutual respect. Love grows from these foundations. But what if it doesn't grow? What if I marry Arjun and spend my whole life feeling like a stranger in my own marriage? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Maya, we have invested everything in finding you a good match. We have promised the Sharma family. Our reputation, our honor within the community, all of this is at stake. You cannot back out now. Maya felt the weight of her parents' expectations, their sacrifices, their dreams for her future pressing down on her shoulders. But she also felt something else. A growing certainty that marrying Arjun would be a mistake that would affect the rest of her life. What if I asked for more time? What if we delayed the engagement for a few months, gave Arjun and me a chance to really get to know each other? Her parents looked doubtful. The Sharma family is eager to proceed, her father said. They might interpret delays as a lack of seriousness on our part. Or they might respect that we want to make sure this is the right decision for everyone involved, Maya countered. That evening, Maya's parents had a long conversation with her that stretched late into the night. They talked about their own arranged marriage, about the challenges and rewards of building a life with someone chosen by their families. They spoke about their hopes for Maya's future, their fears about her being alone in the world, their desire to see her settled and secure. Maya listened, understanding for the first time the depth of their love and concern for her. But she also began to articulate her own hopes and fears, her vision of what her life could become, her need to feel like an active participant in her own destiny. By the end of the conversation, nothing had been resolved, but Maya felt like her parents were beginning to understand her perspective, even if they didn't agree with it. Her mother wiped away tears as she hugged Maya goodnight. "We only want you to be happy, Beta," she whispered. "But we also want you to be safe and cared for. Sometimes these desires conflict, and it's hard to know what is best." As Maya lay in her childhood bed that night, she realized that her parents were facing their own difficult choice. They had to decide whether to trust her judgment about her own life, even if it meant disappointing the Sharma family and potentially damaging their standing in the community. The next morning, Maya's father made an unexpected announcement. "I will call Mr. Sharma today and suggest that we postpone the engagement for a month. We will tell them that you want more time to finish your college projects before taking such an important step." Maya felt a surge of relief mixed with gratitude. It wasn't the complete freedom she wanted, but it was a recognition that her feelings mattered, that her voice deserved to be heard in decisions about her own life. Her mother nodded, though Maya could see the worry in her eyes. 1 month, Maya. Use this time wisely. Get to know Arjun better. See if your feelings change. Maya agreed, knowing that the extra time was both a gift and a responsibility. She would use it to figure out what she truly wanted from her life and whether Arjun could ever be a part of that vision. The call to the Sharma family did not go as smoothly as Maya's father had hoped. Mr. Sharma was clearly displeased with the request for a delay, interpreting it as a sign of uncertainty that reflected poorly on both families. Maya overheard parts of the tense conversation from the next room. "These modern girls and their hesitations," she heard Mr. Sharma say through the phone speaker. "In our day, families made decisions and young people respected them." Maya's father worked hard to smooth things over, emphasizing Maya's dedication to her studies and her desire to give the relationship the attention it deserved. Eventually, Mr. Sharma agreed to a 3-week delay, but Maya could sense the damage had been done to the family's relationship. Arjun called Maya that evening, and for the first time she heard irritation in his voice. "Maya, I don't understand this need for delay. We've met, our families approve, everything has been arranged properly. What more do you need to know?" Maya tried to explain her feelings without offending him. "I just think it's important that we really understand each other before making such a big commitment." "Understanding comes with time and shared experience," Arjun replied, his tone suggesting he was humoring her. "But if you need these extra weeks to feel comfortable, I suppose I can accommodate that." The way he said accommodate made Maya feel like a difficult child whose unreasonable demands were being indulged by a patient adult. She realized that even when Arjun was trying to be understanding, he still saw her concerns as silly and immature. Over the next few days, Maya threw herself into her senior project with renewed focus. She was designing a curriculum that would help elementary school children develop critical thinking skills and confidence in expressing their own ideas. The irony was not lost on her. She was creating educational materials to help children find their voices while struggling to find her own. Professor Davis noticed the improvement in Maya's work immediately. "It's good to see you back on track," she said during one of their meetings. "Your project has real potential to make a difference in children's lives." Maya felt a surge of pride and purpose that she had never experienced in her conversations with Arjun. This was what she wanted: to contribute something meaningful to the world, to use her education and talents to help others grow and learn. That weekend, Arjun suggested they spend a full day together to deepen their understanding. He picked Maya up in his expensive car and took her to lunch at an upscale restaurant where he was clearly a regular customer. The staff greeted him by name and immediately brought him his usual drink without being asked. During lunch, Maya tried to steer the conversation toward topics that would help her understand Arjun as a person, rather than as a successful businessman. "What do you do for fun?" she asked. "What are you passionate about besides work?" Arjun seemed puzzled by the question. "My work is my passion," he said simply. "Building successful businesses, providing employment for others, contributing to the economy, these things give me satisfaction. But what about hobbies, interests outside of work? Books you enjoy, places you like to visit, causes you care about?" Arjun gestured dismissively. "I don't have time for frivolous activities. When I'm not working, I'm networking or spending time with family. Those are the priorities of a responsible man." Maya felt a growing sadness as she realized how different their worldviews were. Where she saw learning, creativity, and personal growth as essential parts of a fulfilling life, Arjun saw them as luxuries that serious adults didn't have time for. After lunch, he took her to see one of his properties, a new apartment complex he was developing. As they walked through the construction site, Arjun spoke enthusiastically about profit margins, rental rates, and return on investment. Maya tried to show interest, but found herself thinking about the families who would live in these apartments, wondering if they would find the spaces warm and welcoming. "This will house over 200 families once it's complete," Arjun said proudly, sweeping his arm toward the skeletal building frames. "That's wonderful," Maya replied. "Do you ever think about what kind of community you're creating? Maybe adding a playground for children, or a common area where neighbors could meet?" Arjun looked at her with mild amusement. "Maya, this is business, not charity. People can find playgrounds elsewhere." Maya realized that where she saw opportunities to improve people's lives, Arjun saw only financial transactions. The gap between their values seemed impossible to bridge. That evening, Arjun drove Maya back to her apartment. As they sat in his car outside her building, he turned to her with a serious expression. "Maya, I've been patient with your need for extra time, but I want you to understand something clearly. I'm 38 years old. I have specific goals for my life, including marriage and children. I can't wait indefinitely while you work through whatever doubts you're having." Maya felt the weight of his ultimatum, though he hadn't stated it directly. "I appreciate your patience, Arjun. I just want to make sure we're compatible in the ways that matter for a successful marriage." "We are compatible," he said firmly. "Our families match well, our backgrounds are similar, and you have the qualities I'm looking for in a wife. The rest will sort itself out over time." But Maya noticed he didn't ask what qualities she was looking for in a husband, or whether he met them. In Arjun's view, her job was to adapt to his requirements, not the other way around. The next week, Maya had coffee with her college friend Lisa, who was also from a traditional family, but had managed to navigate the pressure for arranged marriage differently. Lisa had convinced her parents to let her work for 2 years before considering marriage, using the time to establish her career and meet someone on her own. "The key was showing my parents that I could take care of myself financially and emotionally," Lisa explained. "Once they saw I was responsible and successful, they trusted my judgment more." "But what if you hadn't met anyone during those 2 years?" Maya asked. Lisa shrugged. "Then I would have considered arranged meetings, but from a position of strength, rather than desperation. When you have your own life and identity, you can evaluate potential partners more clearly." Maya envied Lisa's confidence and independence, but she also realized that Lisa's parents had been more flexible from the beginning, more willing to consider alternative approaches to their daughter's future. That evening, Maya called her cousin, Priya, who had had an arranged marriage 5 years earlier. Maya had always assumed Priya was happy, but when she asked directly, the answer was more complicated. "I'm content," Priya said carefully. "My husband is a good man who provides well for our family. But sometimes I wonder what it would have been, like to choose for myself, to have that experience of falling in love." "Do you ever regret not waiting?" Maya asked. There was a long pause. "I try not to think about it. Regret doesn't change anything, and I have responsibilities now. But Maya, if you have doubts, really listen to them. Once you're married and have children, it becomes much harder to change course." Priya's words haunted Maya for days. She began to notice things about Arjun that she had initially overlooked. The way he dismissed her opinions when they differed from his, how he spoke about women in general, including his own sister, with a kind of benevolent condescension. His assumption that his preferences and priorities would naturally become hers after marriage. During their next phone conversation, Maya tried a different approach. "Arjun, what do you think makes a good marriage?" "Mutual respect, shared values, and clear roles," he answered promptly. "The husband provides leadership and financial security. The wife creates a harmonious home environment and raises the children. When both people fulfill their roles properly, the marriage succeeds." "What about love, partnership, growing together as individuals?" Arjun chuckled. "Maya, you've been watching too many romantic movies. Real marriage is about practical compatibility and fulfilling your duties to each other and your families." Maya realized that Arjun wasn't a bad person, but he was completely wrong for her. He wanted a traditional wife who would fit into his predetermined vision of family life. She wanted a partner who would support her dreams and build a life together, based on mutual understanding and respect. The problem was that her parents and Arjun's family saw his traditional approach as evidence of his good character rather than as a fundamental incompatibility. With 1 week left before the delayed engagement date, Maya made a decision that terrified and liberated her in equal measure. She would have to choose between disappointing her parents and disappointing herself. And for the first time in her life, she knew which choice she had to make. But first, she needed to find the courage to have the most difficult conversation of her life. Maya spent 2 sleepless nights rehearsing the conversation she needed to have with her parents. She practiced different ways to explain her decision, searching for words that would help them understand without causing too much pain. Every approach seemed inadequate for the magnitude of what she was about to ask of them. On Thursday morning, she called in sick to her classes and drove home. She found her mother in the garden, tending to the roses that had always been her pride and joy. Her father was at work, but Maya knew she needed to start with her mother, who had been the most excited about the engagement. "Maya, what a surprise," her mother said, looking up from her pruning. Then she noticed Maya's expression. "Beta, what's wrong? You look terrible." Maya sat down on the small bench beside the garden. "Mama, I need to talk to you about something important." Her mother set down her gardening tools and sat beside her, immediately reaching for Maya's hand. "Tell me what's troubling you." "I can't marry Arjun," Maya said simply. The words hung in the air between them like a challenge to everything they both understood about family, duty, and love. Her mother's face went through a series of expressions: confusion, worry, and then something that looked like fear. "What? Do you mean you can't marry him? Has something happened? Has he done something inappropriate?" "No, Mama. Arjun hasn't done anything wrong. He's exactly what you and Papa said he was: successful, stable, from a good family. But he's not right for me." "Not right for you?" "Beta, what does that mean?" Maya took a deep breath, trying to find words that would bridge the gap between her mother's world and her own. "When I talk to him, I feel like I disappear. He has very specific ideas about what a wife should be, and I don't think I can be that person without losing everything that makes me myself." Her mother was quiet for a long moment, absently stroking Maya's hand. "Marriage requires compromise, Beta. We all have to adjust our expectations and adapt to our partner's needs. But shouldn't my needs matter too? Shouldn't a marriage be about 2 people choosing to build a life together, not one person fitting into the life the other has already planned?" "Where are these ideas coming from, Maya?" her mother asked, her voice tinged with frustration. "Your college friends? Your professors? These Western notions of marriage are not realistic. Love and compatibility develop over time when 2 people are committed to making a marriage work." Maya had expected this response, but it still stung. "Mama, these aren't Western ideas. They're human ideas. I want to feel respected and valued as an individual. I want to have a say in the major decisions that affect my life. I want to be with someone who encourages my dreams rather than just tolerating them." Her mother stood up abruptly and began pacing among the flower beds. "Maya, do you think your father and I don't love each other? Do you think our marriage is somehow inferior because it was arranged?" "Of course not, Mama, but you and Papa chose each other in your own way. You had a courtship period where you got to know each other and decided you were compatible. I'm being asked to marry someone I've spent maybe 10 hours with total. Someone who doesn't seem interested in knowing who I really am." Her mother stopped pacing and looked at Maya with tears in her eyes. "We have invested everything in your future. We have made promises to the Sharma family, our reputation in the community." "I know, Mama, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to put you in this position, but I can't sacrifice my entire life to protect the family's reputation." They sat in silence for several minutes, the only sound the buzzing of bees among the roses. Finally, her mother spoke. "Your father will be devastated. He's been so proud of this match, so relieved that you would be taken care of." "Maybe I can take care of myself," Maya said gently. "Maybe that's what my education was really for. Not just to make me a more attractive bride, but to give me options and independence." Her mother looked at her with an expression Maya had never seen before. Not anger or disappointment, but a kind of recognition. "You really have changed, haven't you? You're not the little girl who always did what she was told." "I'm still that girl, Mama. I still want to make you and Papa proud. But I want to do it by becoming the best version of myself, not by disappearing into someone else's idea of who I should be." When Maya's father came home that evening, her mother had already told him about their conversation. Maya found them sitting at the kitchen table, looking older than she had ever seen them. Her father's face was grave, but not angry. "Sit down, Maya," he said quietly. Maya took her usual seat across from them, feeling like a child about to be disciplined, but also like an adult ready to take responsibility for her choices. "Your mother says you don't want to marry Arjun," her father began. "That's right, Papa. Can you help me understand why? He seems like everything we could have hoped for in a son-in-law." Maya had thought carefully about how to explain this to her father. "Papa, remember when you taught me to ride a bicycle? You said the most important thing was balance, not just physical balance, but knowing how to adjust when the road changed beneath me." Her father nodded, curious about where she was going with this analogy. "I feel like marrying Arjun would be like riding a bicycle that someone else is steering. I might be safe, but I would never learn to navigate for myself. And if something happened to the person steering, I would crash." Her father was quiet for a long time, considering her words. "Maya, life is uncertain. Having a stable, secure marriage provides protection against that uncertainty. But what if the marriage itself becomes the source of uncertainty? What if I spend years trying to be someone I'm not and lose myself in the process?" Her mother spoke up. "What about children, Maya? What about the joy of being a mother, of creating a family?" "I want those things, Mama, but I want them with someone who sees me as an equal partner in creating that family. I want to raise children who know that both their parents chose each other freely and love each other genuinely." Her parents exchanged one of their wordless looks. Maya could see them having an entire conversation without speaking, weighing her happiness against their own fears and expectations. Finally, her father spoke. "Maya, if we support your decision to break this engagement, there will be consequences. The Sharma family will be offended. Our standing in the community will suffer. Other families may be reluctant to consider matches for you in the future." "I understand, Papa, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm also prepared to live with those consequences." "Are you?" her mother asked. "Are you prepared to potentially remain unmarried? To build a life entirely on your own?" Maya had thought about this extensively over the past few weeks. "Maybe I will remain unmarried for a while. Maybe I'll meet someone on my own. Someone who wants to know me as a person before deciding to spend his life with me. Or maybe I'll have a career and friends and a life that feels complete even without marriage. But whatever happens, it will be my choice." Her father sighed deeply. "You know, Maya, when we came to this country, we brought our traditions with us because we were afraid of losing who we were. Maybe we held on too tightly sometimes. I don't want to lose our traditions, Papa. I just want to adapt them to fit the life I'm actually living, not the life our grandparents lived in a different time and place." Her mother wiped away tears. "You sound so certain, Beta. How do you know you won't regret this decision?" "I don't know, Mama. But I know I would regret not making it. I would rather face an uncertain future that I chose than a certain future that someone else chose for me." The conversation continued late into the night, with all three of them crying at various points. Maya's parents shared their own fears about her future, their worries about her being alone in the world, their deep love for her that made them want to protect her from all possible harm. Maya listened to their concerns with a new understanding of how difficult it was for parents to let their children make potentially risky choices. But she also helped them see that trying to eliminate all risk from her life might eliminate all growth and joy as well. In the end, her parents didn't give their enthusiastic support, but they gave something more valuable, their reluctant respect for her right to make her own choices, even choices they didn't understand or agree with. "We will call the Sharma family tomorrow," her father said finally. "We will apologize and explain that you have decided you are not ready for marriage at this time." "What will you tell them exactly?" Maya asked. "The truth," her mother said, surprising Maya. "That our daughter is an intelligent, thoughtful young woman who needs to follow her own path, even when it's different from what we planned for her." 2 weeks later, Maya walked across the stage at her college graduation. In the audience, she saw her parents sitting proudly in the front row, holding a banner with her name on it. The engagement to Arjun was broken. The families were no longer speaking, and Maya's future was more uncertain than ever. But as she accepted her diploma and looked out at the possibilities ahead of her, Maya felt something she had never experienced before, the exhilarating fear and freedom of a life that was truly her own to create.